Cruises are set to resume from the United States in March of 2021. U.S. cruises in just 62 days. Will it happen? Well, maybe. Let's talk about it. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Cruise News Show. I'm your host, Tony, here with a special edition. Today, we divine the answer to the question, will U.S. cruises resume in March of 2021? Now, we've already had a major player drop out of March. We talked about it on the show yesterday. Norwegian Cruise Line, they're out. They're not going to cruise in March, but we got some big ones still in the game. Carnival Cruise Line, Royal Caribbean Cruise Line, MSC Cruises, they all have cruises scheduled for March. Now, look, I know some of the prognosticators out there, they've already written off March. They've already written off all of 2021 and parts of 2022, but to me, that's just a little too easy. The cruise lines, they're canceling their cruises on a monthly basis. The CDC is updating its rules periodically. And so, yeah, I guess you could just say, well, cruising's not going to start until it starts and look at that. But again, a little too easy. Let's do the hard work. Let's decide whether or not cruising can resume in March. Will they cruise or will they cancel? Now, there's three things that have to happen. The first thing that has to happen is the infection rate has to go down in the United States. We need to see the infection rate drop off and go down. The reason I say this is there are places around the world that have been cruising that as soon as their virus numbers went up, they shut down cruising. If anything is evident from how cruising went in 2020 as cruising resumed in other places, what is certainly true is the trend line dictates whether or not cruising can go forth. Infections trend upward, no cruising. Infections trend downward, maybe some cruising. There is a lot of hopefulness out there right now because of the vaccine rollout. We're just waiting to see if the infection rate trends downward as more and more of the population gets vaccinated. That is the hope, and that is the signal we're tracking along with. That's the first step. Step number two has to do with the cruise ship and their readiness to sail. There's a lot of things that have to happen. They have to be in the United States. They have to be fitted with the technology that's required for the conditional framework for sailing. And they also have to perform a simulated sailing. All of that has to occur before paying passenger cruises can happen. Those paying passenger cruises scheduled in March. So that means in the next 62 days, all that stuff has to be in place. There are some good signals that some of that is happening. There are cruise ships back at U.S. ports. The CDC is tracking these ships that are trying to get into the framework. They're using their rules around the commercial travel of crew members as the entry point for the framework. And so you can go to the CDC website. You can see all of the ships that are working their way through the process. They've got a color-coded system there. Green ships are ready to continue through the process. Yellow ships are not. Red ships are not. And if you go and look at the big cruise lines, Carnival Cruise Line, Royal Caribbean Cruise Line, you will notice there are over 32 ships just between those two companies that are in the pipeline. All 17 ships from Royal Caribbean have a green status. The 16 ships that Carnival has on that list, 9 of them are straight up green in the process. 3 of them are red and 4 of them are provisionally green. So provisionally green cruise ships are cruise ships that are coming to the US. There's still some paperwork that needs to be submitted to the CDC before they can be evaluated whether or not they are green, red, or yellow. MSC also has a couple ships that are in the green status. So that brings the total between those 3 companies up to about 34 cruise ships that are in the process for the cruise restart. What we're waiting to see is some sort of announcement that says these ships have been fitted with the technology, that the crews are on board, and that the simulated sailings have happened or will happen. It's an assumption that we will know in advance when the simulated sailing happens, but who knows? Who knows if we'll know that or not? But that has to happen before paying passengers can cruise in March of 2021. So the quick recap, infection rate has to go down. ships and crew have to be ready. Simulated sailing has to happen. And let me tell you the big one, the third one. Before I get there, I just want to take a quick moment to invite you to subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you like staying up to date on everything going on in cruising, please consider subscribing with the notification bell on. That way you don't miss out on any of these updates. Number 3, the third step that has to happen is on a ship by ship basis. The CDC has to look at everything that the cruise line has done on that particular cruise ship, and they have to say, yep, you can cruise. The CDC continues to be the gatekeeper in this process. They continue to be the yes or no person when it comes to sailing again. And so, of course, the cruise line's been working closely with the CDC in their best interest to get it right. The CDC, the final arbiter of whether a cruise can resume or not. So those are the 3 things that have to happen. Now, if we evaluate that in the context of March sailings, let's look at them one at a time again. Are the infection numbers trending downward? Not yet. So that's not good for March. If we look at step 2, let's just distill step 2 down into, do we see ships doing simulated sailings? Not yet. We haven't seen publicly anybody announce that our ships got through a simulated sailing. It doesn't mean that it's not happening. It just means it's not being widely reported if it is happening. So step 2, not looking too good for March. And step 3, we won't even know until the ship gets through step 2, then the CDC with its final evaluation, whether or not the ship can sail. So if we're looking at those 3 criteria as indicators whether or not cruising will happen in March or not, the indicators right now, the signals right now would say no. But that doesn't mean in the next 62 days, things can't happen that would make them seem yes. All of a sudden you get to mid-January and the infection rate is trending down. We start hearing about some simulated sailings. And then in February, the cruise lines are submitting ships to the CDC for final approval. If we see those things happen, I think there's a good possibility that you will see passenger cruises in March. But as we sit here at the end of 2020, there's just not any signals that would say that that is happening right now. Again, we could take the easy way out, just say that cruising's not going to happen for the next 18 months and then just be happily surprised when it does. But if you've tracked along with life at all over the last 10 months, you realize that we live in a rapidly changing time. Things have been changing from month to month, from 90-day period, from 90-day period. I'm a little bit remiss to try to make a prediction beyond just the next few months because who knows what it's going to look like. The reality is you're still cruising in March until they cancel it. That's my opinion. What do you think? Will there be cruises in March or no cruises in March? Leave a comment below. Thank you so much for checking out the episode today. I did do a video talking about how you can be getting prepared right now for your 2021 cruise or whenever you cruise again. This is stuff that you can be doing while you're waiting to cruise again. Check out that video right here. And then YouTube says that this video is definitely the one that you should watch next. Make sure you check that out. Thanks again. This is Tony for Lido Loca. And until the next time, we'll see you on the Lido. Bye.